Thank you for joining us on the Real News Extra. My name is Fred. I'm the operations manager here at Relaw APC. And joining me today is Jennifer Felten, the principal and founder of Relaw APC.
Hello.
So Jennifer, let's talk about a crisis in California about the availability of fire insurance. How is the lack of availability impacting people who live in high fire area, especially given the recent events such as like the Franklin fire or other fires?
Right. Well, California has been experiencing higher fire incidents for several years, at least a decade, that the fire danger has continued to increase. The result is that it's very expensive for an insurance company to insure, and there's a large number of claims. So the insurance companies have been trying to get raises in their rates in order to compensate for the cost of all of the claims. So for example, Malibu, all of Malibu, the whole city is in a high or very high fire zone. There's not one dot of Malibu that's not. So think about, if you're an insurance company, do you want to insure there? If you live there, how do you get insurance? What is that insurance going to cost? Because the insurance companies do need to raise the rates to cover the costs. They're not a charity.
Right.
It's not their obligation to make sure everybody has fire insurance. But we want to make sure that there's at least some sort of system for people who are in these high fire areas to get it and get enough. Because California does have what's called California Fair Plan, which is a government program.
Right.
So at least for residences, there is an option for everyone, but it's capped at $3 million. Well, there aren't a lot of houses in Malibu for less than $3 million, right? You're going to be struggling. You know, in our particular situation, our children go to school in Malibu and we go to church in Malibu. Our community was impacted and our kids were out of school for a month. I mean, this is real world, real life. One of the families in our school lost their home, right?
Yes.
So how are they going to manage? What is the option for them to rebuild? What's the option for them to get insurance in the future, right? We're talking about real world impacts. And so there has to be a way, because unfortunately, the way the system works right now, the insurance companies are not allowed to raise the rates to the level that they need to make it economically viable to write policies in California. So they've just left the market. And that's a real problem.
So how is the insurance commissioner's new proposal trying to address all of these issues?
So there's a thing called reinsurance. And so if you're in the insurance industry, you'll understand that the insurance companies go out and write policies, but so think about, you're insuring something that's $100 million. You don't want to be on the risk for a full $100 million. And so you go and sell part of that liability to another company, right?
Yes.
So we sell 20 million to this guy and 20 million to this guy and 20 million to this guy. So we're spreading the risk. That's called reinsurance. And so the reinsurance rates in California have skyrocketed because of the rate issues, and they're not regulated by the insurance rules, right? So whereas, State Farm, Farmers, right, those guys have filed rates and they cannot raise their rates without approval, the reinsurance companies are not under that limitation.
Right.
So the reinsurance is up here and what they can charge is down here, right? So we've got this huge imbalance. And so the insurance commissioner's proposal is to allow rates to go up based upon these prospective new reinsurance rates, which, based upon what I've read, I do believe would be legal, because part of the problem is there's all these rules on what you can do and prospective rates. But with the reinsurance, we can raise to match that and allow the insurance companies to cover their costs when they're having to buy this reinsurance. So that's what is being proposed, is an allowance to allow rates to go up as in line with the reinsurance amounts.
So is there a light at the end of the tunnel for families trying to get available fire insurance?
I think it's really little light.
Yes.
And I think it's years away from a real total solution. But I truly believe that both the insurance commissioner and the insurance companies are trying to solve this problem. The problem is it's just not a simple, easy fix. And with the regulatory rules and the financial considerations, it's just going to be slow. and challenging again for several years. But I do think it is already better than it was in some ways, and I do see that action is being taken to move it in the right direction.
Okay, well, thank you. And thank you for joining us for this episode of the Real News Extra. If you're enjoying this content, I ask that you click on like or subscribe and click that little bell for notifications. My name is Fred. I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.